Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Real Talk with Nikki. It's me, Nicole Nyokabi. And kama kawaida, we are in Naiwave Studios. You know, if you want a space to do your podcast, if you're looking for videographers, photographers, we got you. Just call the number on the screen and you'll get the best service, the best photographers, videographers, and the editing wanafanya at a friendly price. So just call the number on the screen and you'll get all those services. And today on our studio, we have a very interesting guest. Nataka introduce and then I'll tell you what we'll be talking about today. So karibu sana to our show.
Thank you so much. My name is Donald Wala, or the Child Free Uncle on TikTok.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, okay, I'm Donald. I'm 30. I turned 30 this year, February. I'm currently an educational researcher with a bias towards early childhood and inclusive education. Currently, I'm working as an education consultant, running my own consultancy, Dual Education Consultancy.
Nimepatia hapo kwa unbiased consultant. Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, so I do education consulting. Mm-hmm. That is from research to teacher training, that is capacity building. Mm-hmm. And while education is broad, I specialize on early childhood. That's why I said a bias towards early childhood and inclusive education. I'm also a student at Mount Kenya University pursuing a master's in early childhood studies. Yeah.
Every day I learn there's a new career that I had not explored. Yeah. So you've said you're the child-free uncle.
Yeah.
So tell me about your child. How did you decide, or where did you get to a point where you decided I want to be child-free?
Well, it goes back to the high school days, then moved to the campus. High school, we had limited interaction with women, but when it came to campus, the interaction got intense, and makosa fanyika. Makosa fanyika, so yeah, makosa zilifanyika, si ilifanyika, zilifanyika. And then at that point, I was just like, no, I'm not cut for fatherhood, and I'd not like to be a father in the future. So that's when I started thinking about child-free. And at that time, I didn't know that there was a term like child-free, or there are people who chose to be child-free. Because growing up, you're given a blueprint by the society, especially if you're in a prenatalist society like Kenya. You go to school, you get married, you have babies, and live happily ever after.
True.
Yeah, but I decided to go against the masses, and I chose my path, and decided just to being an uncle is good enough.
So unasema you decided to become child-free in university. So all through unatamani kuwa dad until you get to university and the mistakes happened and you decided that's it.
Yeah, well, I knew there's always those feelings of, I'm not going to be a parent. But it became more reinforced in campus after almost becoming a father. Yeah. So the first attempt becoming a father, the first mistake happened. Not attempt.
The first
mistake happened, and then there's a second mistake, and then I just said, The way I got happy when those things were done, it just made me realize, no, let me be an uncle, because I know I love kids. I'm good with kids. I just don't want the commitment of having to raise someone, having someone look up to you. I'm a human. I make my own mistakes, have my own shortcomings. I don't want to always be strong for someone. I just want to live my life in my own terms.
Okay. So now let's go to your vasectomy journey.
Yeah.
So tell me, how did you decide? So you may decide unataka kuwa child-free. What pushed you to go and have the vasectomy?
Well, the problem is that I attempted vasectomy 3 times. On the third time that it's...
3 times?
Yeah. The first attempt I did when I was in Kisumu, and I was told I was too young.
How old were you at the time?
Around 24.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I tried when I was 26. I was told the same thing, and then I successfully did one when I was 28. 27. Yeah, 27. That was November 2022. I remember the same time that Wakanda Forever was premiering. Yeah, so as always, Maristo puts out the poster, and then you'd call to book. I booked, and I booked an afternoon session. and then I went to the ECD branch, Maristop MSI. I just went by myself, done my research, prepared psychologically, and having been told no to different occasions, so I went there psychologically prepared for rejection. But when I got there, we did the pre-counseling. Why do you want to do the vasectomy? Do you know it's reversible? Do you know the consequences? Yeah, so after I went through that, the doctor came, the person who was conducting the operation, the surgery, came, and we had a one-on-one, and he told me about the vasectomy, trying to convince me not to go through it. Let me say that. Yeah, so I told him I'd done my research, because I know that two types of vasectomy. There's the one, there's the no scalpel one, and there's the one that you're opened completely. Yeah, so
That
I did.
sounds scary.
It's not just a medical procedure. Yeah, so I did my research, and when I got there, I convinced them, and I was booked.
So did you do the scalpel one or the no scalpel one?
The no scalpel vasectomy.
So what's the difference between the two of them? Because you've said you've done your research.
Yeah, so the no scalpel vasectomy doesn't involve any major surgery, in that they don't, let me use the term dissect. They don't dissect, they don't split your organs so that they snip it. So the no scalpel one, it's a very small surgery. You take 3 days to recover. So what they do is they make a piercing on your skin, the skin of your scrotum, and then they'll pull out the vas deferens, and then they'll chop it, they'll cut it, they'll tie it at the two ends, and then return it back. Yeah, and then you're good to go home.
But now you know recovery in take 3 days.
Yeah, they're gonna take 3 days, and the 3 days are not easy, but they're manageable. Yeah, so I think the 3 days the only issue was bathing, showering. You're not supposed to shower, or water shouldn't go there.
So how do you? So unafanya bado dry bath?
Pick up passport.
Eh.
Yeah. Yeah. So the recovery process was 3 days, and on the second day, I think I was just able to walk well. I was in Sarit going to watch the Wakanda movie. Yeah, so it's not a big procedure. You can do it today and tomorrow but one, you are okay depending on how quick you recover.
Is it reversible?
It is reversible, but well, anyone who goes for vasectomy, I don't think they want to reverse it. Yeah.
Life happens. Like you said, mistakes happened. Unaweza fika uko mbele would decide, maybe ako kamoja won't hurt. That's all asking if
it's reversible, but at a cost, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me about the scalpel one in your research.
The scalpel one is a bit intense. I think it involves using the normal surgery process, basically them opening up your scrotum and doing the thing. Yeah, but the no scalpel one is what I went through, and it was very seamless.
Okay. Personal experience of you going through the procedure, how was that for you?
Well, it was fulfilling. It's something I've always wanted to do.
It's fulfilling.
Yeah. Yeah, so, oopsies do happen. And just because you don't want kids doesn't mean you're also a celibate. You'll always have sexual encounters, have sexual partners. And what happens is that condoms do break. And now with the vasectomy, you are rest assured that even if that happens, there's no minion that's going to be born or no child that's going to come.
But I've heard stories of people who have gone through vasectomy alafu tu kamoja kana pita.
Yeah, that is the 1%. It's not 100%. You'll always be told that it's 99%. You might be an outlier. You might be within that 1%. So what happens is that after vasectomy, you are not safe. You're not safe until 3 months, or until you ejaculate 20 times.
20
times. Yeah. So you after the vasectomy, you'll have to wait for 3 months if you're patient, or you have to ejaculate 20 times. You'll always find a way to do it. And then
I was going there.
you always find
Which
out
is easier, being celibate for 3 months
Yeah.
or ejaculating 20 times?
yeah. Okay, it depends. It depends with how you see it. So after that period, you go back to the hospital for a semen analysis.
After the 3 months or
After
the
3
20
months.
ejaculations?
After 3 months.
So you cannot do the 20 ejaculations and then go for the seminal
If you're
analysis.
confident, because you see the different is cut and tied, meaning there's still something in the tube. Yeah. So if you do it 20 times, it means you'll flush out everything that's in the tube that had swimmers still.
Okay.
Yeah. So after 3 months, it's recommended that you go back and do a semen analysis. So semen analysis, you'll be given a very nice magazine and
Okay,
a
continue.
very nice
to
magazine
check.
and a sampling tab. So you go to a private room and offload something on the sampling tab and take it back for analysis. They will check if there are swimmers. If there are swimmers, the vasectomy is unsuccessful.
So can you redo it?
I'm not sure, but I think you can redo it. Yeah. So if there are swimmers, it's not successful. If there are no swimmers, it's successful. Now, the kids who pop up because after vasectomy, those are people who are impatient and decided to do it before they clear their system.
So you go celibate for 3 months.
Yeah.
Okay. So tell me about the psychological aspect of you having the vasectomy.
I think I come to peace with a lot of things. Yeah, I've come to peace with a lot of things. One, that this life is mine, and no one is going to bully me into feeling some sort of a way because of my decisions. Vasectomy is, in a natural society like Kenya, vasectomy is always frowned upon. Not so many people want to talk about it.
True.
Yeah, and people will say anything and everything if you want to pursue that route, especially if you don't have any kids. And psychologically, I've been fulfilled. I've been okay with my decision. I don't have any regrets. I don't have any I don't feel any kind of way because it's my decision. I made it consciously as an adult. So psychologically, no.
Okay. And the social aspect of it, first let's start with the society.
Society will always talk.
True.
Now that's one thing. Society will always talk, and yeah, you don't always listen to every barking dog. Yeah, so you let them be.
So how do you deal with the backlash? Because I'm sure you do get some backlash about the decision that you made.
Yeah, I do get backlash, but I do listen to people, the people who talk about it, and I realize most of them are speaking from a point of ignorance. And once you realize that, you just treat them like the ignorant people they are, so you don't get into the nitty-gritties about the issue. Yeah, so like someone will tell you, so you mean you got your balls chopped? I didn't get my balls chopped. I just had a vasectomy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And someone will say, what did your family, your parents think?
Yeah. That's where I was going next. Like,
Yeah.
how did your family take it?
You see, you're an adult. Your family is your family. They're living their lives, and you're living your life. You know what's best for you more than they do. Yeah, so the family, you tell them from time to time, you don't want kids, but you know there's always someone who will be pushing, a mom, a sister, an aunt, sister-in-law. Yeah, kamoja tu. Kamoja tu. Yeah. Tufurahie. Yeah, and then you just realize, no, these people, I'm not going to do what they want because it's my life at the end of the day.
So do you tell them before or after you got the procedure about it?
I told them, they knew before that I didn't want kids. I'm always very vocal about it. I put it on my status. I post it online. I write about it. Yeah, so they know. If they don't know, that one they're just pretending that they don't know. But yeah, I put it out there. Those who listen know. Those who are still stuck in their head don't know.
You know, there's a difference between saying I don't want kids and then actually going through with it and having the vasectomy. There are people who take your words for words, and then when you do the action, now they are like, "Oh, kumbe alikuwa serious."
That's it. Yeah. There's that aspect of it. There's that aspect of it. So within my friend circle, they know. Actually, one of my, I'd call him my best friend, also had his vasectomy April, this month. But yeah, he has a child. So within my friend circle, people who want to listen and to listen, not to judge, but listen to understand, to comprehend, will always know. Yeah. So those who know. Those who don't know, it's up to them. Yeah.
Okay. So some of the misconceptions that people have about vasectomy.
One, that involves chopping off testicles or castration. There's a difference between vasectomy and castration. You see, men, not women. Men, our hormones come from our balls, so it can't be chopped off. Yeah, so it's left there so that you still get your testosterone and other things, the male hormones. Yeah, so basically, what vasectomy does is just disconnecting the balls from the urethra. Yeah. So the tube they cut is the vast difference. That is biology class 6.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's that, and then there's a misconception about that and being barren. Being
Infertile.
important for men. For men, it's important. Yeah, being important. It's not. It's out of choice. We do it out of choice because we know if we sneeze next to you, you'll catch a baby. Yeah. Yeah. So it's not to mask importance or anything, and also male reproductive options, male reproductive contraception and reproductive options is a discussion that we've not had as a country.
Yeah, I was going there.
Yeah, and as people. So whenever someone sees a man taking initiative to control the birth or to ensure that kids are not born, people wonder because traditionally you expect the woman to be
the one taking the contraceptives and the birth control measures.
Yeah, I think something that stems from the fact that they see women as a baby-making factory. Yeah. So when as a man, one thing that I laugh at sometimes is that people say that this woman just got pregnant by mistake. Yeah, this woman got pregnant by mistake.
True, but kama hakuwa anataka
Yeah,
angetoa.
like if you had 3 kids and then your wife has 2 additional kids,
They have 5 kids.
yeah, that's not a mistake. That is you you two took part in making that baby. If you had 3 kids and you say, okay, these 3 are enough, you go and as a man you take that initiative. If this woman goes and remove her, what is it called, her 5 years coil to catch a baby, she won't catch. There's also a very common say that vasectomy doesn't stop your wife from getting kids. The kids might not just look like you. Yeah. It's interesting because it just reinforces the fact that infidelity exists, and and if I get a vasectomy and my girlfriend gets pregnant, I'll be so happy to dump her. Yeah. So there's I think those are some of the misconceptions.
Okay. We have talked about the society views and feelings about vasectomy. Are you currently dating? If you're open to talk about that.
Yeah, I'm dating. I'm seeing a very beautiful woman.
Okay. So let's talk about her.
Yeah.
Did you tell her about the vasectomy? Did you meet her before or after the procedure?
I met her after the procedure, and I disclosed to her some of my, let me call them my worldviews, especially on the issue of having children and the fact that I'm sterile. Yeah, and she was okay with it. Luckily, our values aligned on that, and yeah, it's been blissful, of course, with turbulences from time to time. Yeah.
Okay. Do you get stigma from people about the vasectomy, the procedure?
No.
No. Even from your peers?
My peers, I don't.
You don't?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about post-vasectomy life.
Vasectomy life.
Unaongea kama it was challenging.
No. I was trying to find the right word to put it.
Okay.
I was just more juice, no seeds.
Wait. More juice, no seeds.
Yeah. I won't get into the nitty-gritty of that, but it's been blissful. It's been peaceful.
Now I'm left with more questions than answers.
Yeah, so there's that. So life has been good. No complications, whatever. I'm still very contented with my decision. Yeah, you see, there are people who might say that, okay, you can regret after 2 years. This is my third year. I'll be having, this is my second year. The third year will be November. By November will be the third year. Yeah, so it's been peaceful. I've been in relationships, some good, some bad. But one thing that always come out of the relationship without is a baby.
That's a win for you.
Yes, a win for me. I mean, you can go wherever you want to go, but you won't call me for child support. That's a win for me.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah. So post vasectomy, things have been good. No complication. If mistakes happen, not really at all. No oopsies and all that thing. Yeah.
Has there been any change in your life, like apart from the more juiceless seeds? Have you been having like any physical change that came after the vasectomy?
No. Even if I wouldn't attribute it to the vasectomy because I think after vasectomy I've stayed one whole year, and then I decided to gain some weight. I was very skinny. I decided to gain some weight, but I went to the gym for that, not vasectomy. I went to the gym for that, and I went on a multicaloric diet and did a lot of protein supplementation. But now again, I need to go back because I stopped doing that. Yeah, so there is no major life changes. Yeah, just nothing much. Just no babies too. I think that is something that has been consistent.
Your story na kubama. Yeah, no babies.
No babies. That's very consistent. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Now I've finished my questions officially.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your life. Sasa, tuachana mambo ya vasectomy, you as a person.
I'm a person.
So tell me more. You work more with kids because you've said you work with children, education, something, but for young kids.
Yeah, I work in the early childhood space, but I work more with the teachers of early childhood.
So you don't work with kids?
I don't work with kids most of the time. I worked with kids last in 2016. 2016 and 2017. I was doing my teaching practice in Kisumu, a school called St. Aloys Ojola, where I was teaching a nursery school, and I was developing what we called IEPs and trying to identify kids who had learning disabilities and integrating them into the classroom. That is, trying to create an inclusive classroom for them. And then I also did my second interaction with kids was during my teaching practice. I did teaching practice in Kisumu again. I did Kuoyo Primary School where I was doing the early childhood section, and Kuoyo Secondary School where I was doing the secondary school section. So I've interacted with kids at that level, but mostly I do a lot of teacher training, capacity building, and consulting, especially with respect to curriculum development. And yeah.
So working with kids doesn't have any change on you being a child-free uncle?
Yes, it doesn't have a change on you being a child-free uncle. Working with kids as an uncle is better than working with kids as a father.
Wako wezi rudisha?
Wako pigana tu kwa nyumba.
Really, but kids are fun.
Yeah, kids are fun. Kids are fun. That's why I call myself father of none, uncle of many. Yeah, because at the end of it, you try and interact with kids. You see their perspective, their worldviews, which comes from a very innocent place. And they're very interesting folks and very energetic. Yeah, so there's that aspect of it. Yeah.
Okay. Can you talk about your spirituality?
Wow.
Christian.
Yeah, spirituality. This year I decided to mend my relationship with God. Lack of a term. Yeah, it is something that I'd attribute to someone in my life. Yeah, so in effort to create to deal with that, I found a church. I don't like going far, just within the neighborhood. Originally, I'm an Anglican. That's the church I was baptized in and I was raised in. But being an adult, now that I can choose my path, I've decided to go to Mavuno. Mavuno, I go to Mavuno Hill City in Athi River. Yeah, so one of the things I want to do this year is just repair my relationship with God. It's been good to me, but I've not been good to Him. yeah, yeah,
He still blesses even when
still
you're not
blesses
talking
you.
to you,
Yeah,
to him.
to Him. Yeah, so I decided to repair that relationship, and yeah. So Mavuno, what it does, it puts you in, especially the new people like us who are trying to mend their relationship with God. They put you in something like a discipleship group. We call it Mizizi Roots, where you get a 10-week experience just trying to learn about God, do a Bible study, and also be part of a community of believers. We call it a DG. Yeah, so that's what I've been doing. I think the last week is on 26th. Yeah, so I'll be finishing I started in February, I think. So yeah, but it's ending soon. So on my spiritual life, I can't comment much about it because I'm trying to reconnect, reconnect with God. Yeah.
So you have spiritual leaders and people that talk to in spirituality.
I won't say I'm the kind of guy who'll just go to church, listen to the priest, and then that's it.
No, I was going to ask if you have a spiritual group, how do they take you considering that you had a vasectomy and maybe there's something in the Bible that says people are supposed to bring children into the world and multiply the world. I think it's in the book of Genesis.
Yeah, same Bible also discusses about people making different choices. If you look at there's a post I made on TikTok sometimes back on the Bible. That is the Old Testament.
Yeah, it's the Old Testament.
Yeah, so the Old Testament, that's where the commandments were being written in stones and everything. But people moved to the New Testament where some of these things were written in our hearts. I don't want to get into that. I read a lot. Yeah, so the Bible might say something in the Old Testament, and then there's how you interpret it. That's how I'll interpret it. Yeah, so the church I'm not so close with, so there are things that you don't put out there for everyone to know about you. Yeah, just like the Johari's window, there are things that you know, there are things that people must not know about you. Yeah, so when with that
You can take it.
okay, no, I don't take it. I put it on silent, but
Okay.
it's vibrating. Yeah, with that in mind, you do realize that the church will just say what they need to know, and then that's it. Yeah, but within my friendship circles, that's where we the real juice is put.
Mimi kwanza umeniambia you have a friend who had the procedure in April. Was it because ulimuongelesha ama ni kitu pia alikuwa anatamani kufanya?
He had a kid, and it's enough. One baby is enough.
That's true.
Yeah.
Hapo I agree with that friend of yours. One kid is enough.
It's enough, so you don't need to have a volleyball team. Yeah. Yeah.
Now let me ask your advice on a couple setting where they already have kids and the man doesn't want more kids and the woman has kids. Do you think the man has the right to tell the woman, I'm going to have a vasectomy?
Reproductive health is a personal decision.
Even when you're married?
Even when you're married, like
Okay.
I won't hold a gun to your head to take your morning pill. You'll take it if you want. Yeah, but people want different things. I've read stories I've heard of men who don't want kids, but the wives want kids, and the wives end up pregnant.
Of course.
Yeah, and yeah. So I think for the sake of the marriage,
For the sake of the
for the
marriage.
sake of the marriage, that's a discussion you need to have. You just need to discuss with her on how to go about the issue of having kids. Just tell her, okay, you want a kid? I don't want a kid. I don't think we are ready. We have the resources to raise them. If we have this kid, will you fully care for them? If the answer is yes, then you can go ahead and have the kid. But the problem is that you might agree on this thing before the kid is born, but when the kid is here, the kid belongs to both parents. Yeah, so things might change. So while it's an independent decision, you just need to table it just so that both of you have agree on it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So nasema, wait. So if they are married, they have to talk about it before the man goes for the vasectomy.
They'll talk about it because it's an independent decision. Like I'll decide if I'm good with the man can decide when he wants to go to the vasectomy.
But do you know how many times we women decide we don't want to have kids and we go and maybe get like a family planning method that works for us without talking to our husband about it? About it? Why does it have to be different when it comes to the man? I'm asking from your point of view as a man.
My point of view as a man, you see, to avoid conflict. Avoid conflict. Do you watch movies?
Yeah.
Have you ever, by any chance, caught the South African series called Adulting?
No.
So there's a scene where there's a character called Kanyezi and there's another character called Bonga. Bonga wants a child. Bonga wanted a child, but Kanyezi was not ready. During the first leg of their marriage, let me call the first leg, and Kanyezi talked about her not being ready to have kids. She wants to advance her career, and it became an issue. Parents were involved. And then Kanyezi went and sought advice from the mother-in-law, who told her, yes, you're a woman, you decide when you have kids, when you want to have kids or not. So she started popping the pill secretly. And then at one point, the husband learned about her popping the pill, and the marriage broke up. And throughout the movie, they're trying to reconstruct it. So that's why I said for the sake of the marriage.
Say don't talk about it.
Yeah, just talk about it for the sake of the marriage. But you can just wake up and say, enough is enough. Huyu mtoto mmoja ametosha. And then yeah. And also kids can be what the word? I don't want to take anyone.
Yeah, no, just use the word.
Yeah, kids can be overwhelming.
True.
Especially I'm in the child-free space. I'm on the early childhood space, not I'm the early childhood space. So I get to see how parents interact with children with developmental disabilities. That is autism, cerebral palsy, and these other conditions. We have autism, ADHD. ADHD, especially a child can't just sit still. You always have to worry about what they're doing. Yeah. And then there's autism where I have a bias towards autism, especially in all my studies, all my researches. And the moment you see or you learn about the lived experiences of parents, mothers, and the emotional labor they go through to raise such a child, because one thing is that if the child is born, they're born. You can't take them back. Yeah? You can't take them back. And then in Kenya, we have a problem that I'll meet you today, fall in love with you. Next thing, the best way to propose to an African woman is to impregnate her, apparently.
Hey, men need to change their values. That's not the best way to propose. Just give someone a ring, but
yeah. So you find that people don't realize the importance of doing some of these tests, especially looking at the DNA test, like genetic tests. I mean, like autism is a genetic condition. I could be having autism, but it doesn't present itself.
True.
Yeah. So probably you also have autism and it doesn't present itself. So when both of us have a baby and we had that gene in us, it might manifest and it becomes a whole thing. Because the thing about autism is that this person, you'll have to take care of them their whole life. True. Especially if you're in a developing country like ours, where we don't have those systems that can help or support these kids to grow into independent adults. So we go around having kids under the assumption that they'll come out normal, which is something that I blame our culture. Yeah, I blame our culture, and it's really disadvantaging people. Yeah, because now you have this child here. He or she has autism or another neurodevelopmental condition. Now you have to deal with it. And I'm going to say this very confidently. Most of the time when this happens, the woman is left by herself.
True, because men
Yeah.
don't like responsibility. Some men don't like responsibility.
Okay. Yeah. So when that happens, you realize that the burden of raising this child lies solely on the woman, and it's something that people don't really take seriously. Like, there's I think it's not published yet, but there's a publication coming up. You do realize that a child who is born with such a disability has their own special diet.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's the medication. And then there is the social aspect of it. There's the social stigma that comes with raising that kind of a child. And if you take all this into account, sometimes the risk is not worth it. Because one, your life is affected, and so is the child's life. Yeah.
So, first of all, I've heard you saying something about genetic testing. So, do you encourage like parents? Okay, I know you said you deal with teachers, but personally, do you encourage people to go for those genetic tests if they say they want to have a baby, ili to avoid those social stigma that come with having a kid with disability?
Go for genetic testing. And personally, if I were to have kids, I'd have had them in second year. That's when I knew very well that
Second year uni.
second year uni, and the younger the better. Mna grow kama age mates. Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. So we have a Mbaba's culture going on.
A what?
Mbaba's culture, like cross-generational relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a boomer dating a Gen Z, or a Gen Z dating a millennial. That happens. That's normal. But you do realize that there's a greater risk of having a child with disability if the father is of an advanced age.
Really?
Yeah, there's a greater risk. So there's that risk, and especially it comes to autism. Though autism, it still needs to be studied. There's a lot of gray areas. So there's a time when it was assumed that it was the polio vaccine, and then people went ahead and realized that it's a mercury or something. But then again, if you look at the risk factors, the parent's age really contributes to the chance that happens. Yeah. So as a parent, as someone who is looking forward to be a parent, do the genetic tests. Know what underlying conditions you have. Know what underlying condition your partner have. Do the HIV test. That is very normal. Do the STI test. Do all those tests before you start having children, because what's the point of bringing someone in this world when they're going to experience their entire life struggling? Yeah.
About Rudiko, your point here, Gen Zs having kids with boomers. So as much as men are out here saying they can have kids at any age they want, unasema pia kuna time inafikanga where their seeds.
The seeds are not as good as they should be.
Really?
Yeah.
Good to know. Sijaangalia mtu nilikuwa naangalia camera.
Yeah.
There are people who should know that, because I have friends of mine who are like, I'm 35, I'm still early, I can have kids when I want to. But now if you're telling me kuna age itafika where that seed will become a problem to the person who will be coming into the world, I think people should know that, and men should sit down and discuss, like, as much as you want to have kids, you also have a biological clock.
Yeah. There's that aspect, but do you think it's a conversation we need to talk about? We need to have, because women. There's a very controversial study. I don't know when it was published. I don't know where it is at the moment. But I had the journal where I read something like women are, in their lifetime, they have a supply of eggs. Like by the time you start,
They have
a supply of eggs.
I think I've also read something like that.
Yeah, so there's a time when this supply depletes.
Yeah,
Come
when
a
you
stop.
get to 45
Yeah.
plus.
Yeah, so so you do realize it goes both ways. It goes both ways.
Yeah, but for women, we are always, like, you always know it's always there. You're always told you have a biological clock, you have a
Yeah.
biological clock. But men are always like, mira nikifika 18 nataka mtoto nitapata.
Yeah, and it's a misconception. Yeah, you'll get the kid, yeah, but there's always the risk of neurodevelopmental conditions. There's the risk, and I think I read it somewhere. And there's a study like somewhere. I think I was looking at the risk factors of autism, and so the parent's age, yeah,
Okay, good to know.
yeah.
I was talk about something, responsibility and fear of commitment. It's something we were discussing. When someone tells you you're child free because you fear responsibility, or you're child free because you fear commitment.
Yeah, that's a very common narrative, and you see, in this world, we are born with free will. Yeah, you can decide to exercise your free will and do whatever makes you happy, but also how we behave and how our worldview are shaped by our environment. Who is this guy? There's a theorist who talks about the environmental influence on individuals.
Yeah, I've studied psychology. It's a theory by, I think, either
Vygotsky?
Kruger.
Vygotsky.
Yeah, I think so.
It's a sociocultural theory by Lev Vygotsky.
Social?
It's sociocultural.
By?
Lev Vygotsky.
No, I did not study about that. I've studied the social cultural, but I don't remember the name of the theorist, but let's go on.
Yeah. So our behavior. Have you heard of the nature versus nurture debate?
Yes.
Nature versus nurture debate. So, nurture. Let's talk about animals, their nature. A lion will hunt, and it'll be very primal. Then there's us humans, when we come to nature versus nurture, it's the people who argue that nurture is more important. Then the environment is more important than our natural beings. Yeah, and then there are those of us who like we have our carnal needs. Yeah, there's just someone who, let's say for instance, there's a beautiful woman, you really want her, but society dictates that you need to approach her.
True.
In the animal kingdom, a chicken, when a cock is horny, a cock will just run after the chicken, and it will catch the chicken, climb the chicken, do the deed. After 2 seconds, it climbs down. Yeah, so that's the environment. So when it comes to nature and nurture, so the reason why I'm talking about this is because some of these things people are talking about is because of how they have been conditioned to know. There are people who have been conditioned to understand that problem is part of life.
Problem is part of life.
Yeah, the people who know that problem is part of life.
That's a really sad narrative.
Yeah, there are those people who know that responsibility is part of life.
Kind of. Better.
Yeah. So the moment I decide to be child free, I'm acting out of my own free will. I'll still be responsible. I'm an adult. I'll pay my rent. I'll feed myself. I'll dress myself. I'll if I have kids to take care of, occasionally I'll take care of the kids. The problem is their argument is so self-centered because what do you mean that the responsibility only has to come when you have children of your own, or if you're committed to children, or you're committed to someone? We're in an African society. Kinships extend beyond children of your own. You have a nephew somewhere. You have an aunt somewhere. You have a friend somewhere who has a kid. So you still have that kind of a level of responsibility. It can be a moral responsibility, an emotional responsibility, and economic responsibility. The problem is that when these people talk about responsibility, they peg it so much to economic responsibility. So in as much as people argue that being child-free could mean that someone is running away from responsibility, it's a big misconception. I want to take you to a concept called punk, that is P-U-N-K, and punk, P-A-N-K. It's a professional aunt, punk, P-A. Punk, professional aunt, no kids. And then we have punk, P-U-N-K, professional uncle, no kids. There's a study that indicates that about $4.5 billion towards child rearing practices come from punks and punks. So the aunts contribute to an extent. This could be in form of clothes, could be in form of watu wanalanja tumika kitu, could be in form of Jaden amefukuzwa shule tufanye kitu. Yeah. So I don't understand why this is not enough for these people. Yeah. You just be a professional aunt, no babies, no kids. I don't understand why that's not good enough for them.
But people, I'm sure kuna watu wanakulizanga, juna mtoto unapelekanga pesa zako? You still get that question.
Yeah, you get the question. The term is that you don't have any responsibilities.
People have responsibilities.
Yeah,
I have a kid, but doesn't mean that without the kid I don't have responsibilities.
Yeah, we have responsibilities. We have a lifestyle to sustain. Some of us have education to pay for. You could be having car payments. You could be having rent. You could be saving for a vacation. That's a responsibility. You owe it to yourself.
True.
Yeah,
You've worked hard enough for it.
Yeah. So that's a very misguided narrative, and it stems from I think that's how we've been brought up. We are believing that to have responsibility, you have to have kids of your own. And I want to take you back to a discussion that has been going on black tax.
Black tax.
Black tax.
You know, John, to your TikTok. Explain to me what black tax is.
They're like reparations back to your parents, like giving back to your parents for taking care of you. It's a problem in South Africa, but it's also creeping back in Kenya, where parents will always call you to send something home, those kind of things. That's also responsibility. Like some people actually budget for it.
Yeah, I know someone who does.
Yeah, some people actually budget for it. So I don't understand why that is not why in the eyes of these people that's not responsibility. Yeah, I can decide, okay, I don't want to have kids. I'll take care of my mother. Yeah, I'll take care of my mother at her old age. That's with my sole responsibility. Yeah, and it's responsibility. This issue of pegging responsibility to wives and children is misguided.
Okay, let's go to the black tax.
Yeah.
So, as much as you're child-free, you still have that responsibility of... Because I've been raised in a society where I'm told the best way to give back is kuzaa mamako. Like, give birth to a child, and there are people who have been raised in that society.
Yeah.
And I know people who have been raised in a society where they're told, and you'll find people who give birth so much until wazee mtu mwenye wanataka, because they feel like that's a sense of responsibility. Yeah. So unasema kuna hiyo black tax yenye inafaa kuwa financially, and you don't have to name it as, you don't have to say the way I'm going to give back to my mom or to my dad or to my parents is by naming my kid after them.
I mean, first of all, trying to give birth just to name someone is a very bad notion. It's a very bad.
But
notion.
It's an African.
It's an African thing, and it's an African thing. But if you look at it objectively, you realize that even if you want to name these people, I think the reason why some people do this is to continue the legacy maybe their parents started. Yeah, and sometimes you just ask yourself, okay, I want to name my kid after my mother. What impact is it going to have on the society?
If she dies, there'll be somebody who will be able to take the legacy from her, in my opinion, my personal opinion.
What legacy? Let's talk
Seems
about...
Seems like you disagree.
I disagree.
Okay.
What legacy? Because reflecting back into our society, legacy is something that people don't discuss much. We have Ngungi wa Thiong'o. We know Ngungi wa Thiong'o because of his contribution in literature. We have Wangari Maathai. I even don't know if she had a child or she has children.
I've never had.
Yeah, but we remember her with what she did to conserve our forests. We have, let's go back to academia. We have Lev Vygotsky, we have Sigmund Freud in psychology. Yeah. We have, let's go back to feminism. We have, who is this lady? What was her name? The lady who led the universal suffrage movement in America.
I don't know who that is.
Yeah. So the things, we have Martin Luther King. Do you know the name of their kids?
Does he have kids?
Exactly. Yeah. So you see, when people start discussing about legacy, and you peg legacy to kids, I think they should come and see you as a psychologist. Yeah. Because imagine imagine how, I don't want to use that term. Imagine how your contribution can be so small in the society that the only thing you can do is give birth. Yeah. I mean,
That's not an insult to anyone.
that's not an insult to anyone. But the easiest thing to do is to give birth. Even right now, if you go to the
It's
streets,
not the easiest thing to do.
even if you go to the streets, you'll get a pregnant woman, a street woman with a baby. Yeah, so it can be done by anybody. It can be done by anybody. I have a cousin who has 5 kids.
How old is she?
I've never bought that, but she's older than me.
Okay.
Yeah. So you realize that having kids in itself is not completely a legacy. Write a book. Uplift your society. Yeah. Do something. Mother Teresa. Do you know the kids of Mother Teresa?
She was a nun. She couldn't have kids.
Exactly. She was child-free. By choice. You get to nunhood by choice.
Okay, yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Niliwanda kumtetea nikakumbuka.
Yeah.
You become a nun by
You
choice.
become a nun by choice. So you do realize that these people, we still remember them.
Yes.
Not by the number of kids they had, but with the actions they did. Wangari Maathai, we even have a Wangari Maathai Road. Ukitoka Thika Road. Tomboya. I mean, you can leave your mark on this world. It doesn't have to be pegged on your kids. I know very great men who have had kids who, let's talk about Elon Musk. World's richest man.
True.
And one of the kid was very problematic. And even went through the gender transition thing. And there are people in our society, there are people that you know who give birth to kids. They're very influential people in the society, but their kids are just drunkards. Yeah. So let's imagine this is a doctor. He's written so many books, and then the legacy he wants to leave is a drunkard. I mean, you need to look at this thing for a bigger picture. I think we have a very narrow mindset, and it comes to things like legacy and so on. Yeah, so you realize that pegging legacy to kids. Like, if my father pegs his legacy on me, he'll be very disappointed in his grave. God forbid. Because me, the moment I see things are not working out, I'll say, hey, when? It's not like I'm feeding someone or I'm raising someone's disability. I'll just say, okay, things are not working out, they're not working out. Yeah. So kids are not legacy. Kids are kids. The same thing people are going to say, who will take care of you when you get old? Kids
My
are not.
kids. But not really. Unaweza kuwa na watoto and they take you to a facility for you to die there. And you might not have kids and live the best life at your old age.
Yeah, so the thing is that this argument of legacy, it's people need to be sat down, told, there's more to this. Yeah.
Yeah, because I've had people being like, if you don't have kids, your ancestral line will die there. There'll be no legacy to leave to the society.
Imagine having a generation of trauma.
It's our generation.
Yeah, trauma, drug abuse, and some of these things. Yes, sometimes you just need to end it. Yeah, you just need to end it so that the world resets.
But the way to end a generation full of trauma is what some of us Gen Zs are doing, is by dealing with the trauma. So that
dealing
we
with
don't
the
leave
trauma.
the trauma to the kids.
Yeah, dealing with the trauma and not transferring. There's the collective trauma. You're told, I don't know, your grandpa did what and what and what and what.
Yeah.
And then there's also the community trauma, especially those from the mountain after the Mau Mau, the experiences of those people. That the reason why people have been seeking compensation. Yeah. So you do realize that there's a lot of dysfunction in our society that has been normalized. Yeah, right now cheating is very normal. Just
Ya kawaida.
kitu ya kawaida, yeah. And in the West, in the Western world, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. It will wreck families and so on.
But where did you get that culture from if you did not get it from the Western? Because I've thought that most of the cultures that us Africans adopt, we've gotten them from the West. But you're telling me that this one culture that people have normalized is not from there.
The West, first of all, the West has been always against polygamy. And if you look at the decolonizing studies on decoloniality, you do realize that there are a lot of things we really borrowed. Like, for instance, the issue of monogamy. The issue of monogamy was is a Western thing. Probably they wanted to use it to control the number of births and so on and so forth. But in Africa, if I can speak from my culture, as Luos, we don't. There's no big deal with marrying two women. Yeah, call it jadoho.
Tijadoho.
Yeah. Yeah, you just need to have enough resources to take care of both of them. There's no big deal. But when you look at it from that angle, you realize that I think the Western issue here is monogamy. Yeah, the West people came and told people, no, you marry one wife, you start a nuclear family, and so on and so forth. Yeah, but ideally, our brother here, Luther, could have a Murima babe for himself and a Luo babe for whatever other reason.
But you know, we are told,
Yeah.
if you go online, now we have come back to our African culture, jumongelea story ya kwenyu, yo jadoho and whatever.
Yeah.
Ideally, we are told, as a girl, I've gone to groups of girls where I'm told, date someone from your tribe because you're going to agree with them. Because you find, as much as people are supporting monogamy, unapata mnaoana tribally. Aluo will marry Aluo because they understand their culture. A Kalenjin will marry a Kalenjin because I'm just saying those are the controversies that we girls face. Because unaambiwa utadate Mjaluo na hata kuelewa and then to get to a point atakuacha. Because me personally, I know somebody who told me, if you ever want to get married, marry someone. Don't marry people from this. I'm not going to say them, but I've been told don't marry or have kids with people from specific tribes. Because either utarogwa, ama utanyang'anywa mtoto, ama mtoto wako atakuwa na issues, you get. So unafika place pia, as a lady, I'm like, how do I have to handle? I first have to handle with the idea of we don't want tribalism as a generation.
Yeah.
But also have to deal with this that I was told that people from this tribe do this and this and this and this. So when I grow up with, as much as I've grown up being a very open-minded person, I also have that specific thing that is there in my subconscious. Every time I'm about to date someone from this culture, I remember what I was told and I take a step back.
Yeah, I get that a lot. But, you know, we as people from the West, let me call us people from the West.
I know from Western.
No, from the
Kuna people who are the West, nyinyi Western.
Oh, listen.
People from the lakeside.
Okay, these people from the lakeside. People from Europe. We have a thing about people from the mountain, ladies from the mountain. It could be their skin color. It could be their forehead. We don't know. We are still trying to
kujiangalia kwa kiwenya iko.
Yeah. But we need to also understand that we are in a very ethnic country. 1992, 2007, 2013. Those elections, if they'll teach you anything, they'll teach you tribalism. Personally, if I want to build a home, there are places I can't consider. I can't consider Kikuyu. I can't consider Muranga. I can't consider Eldoret.
You cannot
Nyeri.
consider places where people of a specific tribe stay there. That's true.
Yeah. And it all boils down to the history of the country, the mistrust created between, let me call it the Gema. That is what is Gema in full?
What is what?
Gema. Because Gikuyu, Meru, Embu.
Gikuyu, Embu, Meru,
yeah.
Akamba.
Yeah. So there's a mistrust. If you go back to our national history, there's a history where one tribe betrayed another, and there's mistrust. I'm going to tell you this very confidently. Right now, I'm dating a Kikuyu. Yeah. And there's a question that I've had in the West. Someone will ask you, have you ever seen an aged Kikuyu lady in this village?
That's true.
Have you ever seen an aged Kikuyu lady in this village?
I'm Kikuyu, and funny enough, I've never had anyone who has lived long enough to date someone from
Yeah.
the western side.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
why is that?
I don't know. Probably.
But you see, as much as we are trying to fight tribalism,
Yeah.
mtu kama wewe umesema you cannot build certain places because of the same.
The same.
But how do we work towards it if you still have the, let me call it, notion that
Notion, yeah.
if you build in a specific place, it's
Yeah.
gonna still come back to you.
The reason why I can't build in a specific place is because of how we conduct our national politics and elections. Yeah. Let me take you back to 2007. If you watch the documentary Kenya's Darkest Hour, you realize how people from a certain tribe were targeted, and even a woman had to carry the head of her husband in a basket.
That is so sad.
Yeah. You look at there's a time Boniface Mwangi released the photos, and then if you look at his documentary Softy, you realize just how tribe becomes important during the electioneering period. Yeah. So the moment when Jaluo, sometimes we are called Kihi. I don't know what that means, but whatever it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
It means someone who is uncircumcised.
Yeah, we call Kihi. And
No, kehe.
Kehe. Wow. Kehe.
Kehe.
Yeah. So yeah.
No, unaisema kama
Yeah.
those Kikuyus who are so westernized, they cannot say the word kehe.
But I'm not Kikuyu.
Yeah, that's why I want you to say it
Yeah.
correctly.
Okay. Yeah, so there's that. But the heart wants what it wants.
True.
Yeah. The heart beats for the mountain. You can't change that. Yeah. Yeah. So we also told that Kikuyu women will, at some point, they'll always kill you. I mean,
You know what? I'm not going to comment on that.
Well,
Ndacha,
yeah.
I will leave my viewers to comment.
yeah, no, it's a notion, because let me tell you something that I think as a country we are always so shy to discuss some of these issues, and that's why they keep bedeviling us. Things like tribal mistrust, and also you do realize that until recently, when the Gen Z movement came up, we became tribalists and everything.
Yeah, we are tribalists.
Yeah, tribalists. Yeah. So that's when some of these things started coming out clearly. That the problem might not be us. The problem is our parents. The problem is our parents in the sense that they've been socialized to believe that this and this. They've been socialized to believe on this and this, and then you do realize that the more you listen to them, the farther you deviate from being a global citizen. Let me use that term. A global citizen, where you are conscious about some of these issues and so on and so forth. So, like, let's take for instance one of the most important union is the marriage. Yeah, me, I'm for intertribal, interethnic, interracial, and these other forms of marriages. This issue of ethnocentrism, where you decide to marry from your culture because maybe they'll align, you'll or maybe speak the same language. It's what at terms in breeding. Sometimes you just need to get okay. Let me put it like this. Online, there are body shapes that are associated with the West, with Western and everything. Then there are body types that are associated with the mountain. Yeah. but now there's a new breed. There's a new breed that has, let me call it hybrid. It has the body of the West and the color of the mountain. You see? Yeah. So I think at some point we need to stop this inbreeding and explore and just be open-minded. We are all human beings, and some of these things are not cast on stone. You need to meet someone, understand each other, and see how you want to do life with them.
The problem is, or in my personal opinion, so it's okay, I'm gonna date someone from the other culture. But what happens if our cultures don't align and we get to a point where we wanna get married and we have to stick to one culture? So what culture will we follow?
We are in an African society, so the man's culture stands. But since last year I've been very interested in Kikuyu culture, I know of Itara. I don't know what Itara means. I also just took my time through seeing how some of my friends conducted their introduction. Actually, it's a very extended process. I think it's 4 steps.
Actually, hata mimi kuna ingine nilikuja kujua Jose.
Yeah.
I think niyo Itara, the one where after the introduction you have to go and borrow clothes. No, there's a new one niliambiwa Jose where after the introduction, before you move in together, the man has to go to your place.
No.
Ile itikie kupewa nguo.
No. You are a Gen Z Kikuyu.
I am a Gen Z Kikuyu.
You
That's not
need to go
a lie.
back.
What is Itara?
Itara involves the people from your. If I marry you, the people from your home going to our home to know where the daughter is being married to.
But that's usually the last step.
The last step.
Yeah.
So it's called Itara. So we look at some of these things while for cultural preservation. Some of these are just very long and tedious.
So in your culture, it's not that long?
In my culture, it's the first process is called a year, I think, where you go and the same as you people. You just go to the home and tell the father, hey, I've seen a very ripe mango in your homestead. I'd like to pluck it. And then there's the ceremony. This is nyombo, I think, where you go to TikTok and just type nyombo. You'll see what it involves. But in Kikuyu, we have the introduction. Yeah, and then we have there's the second step. I don't know, involves coming with how many goats and how many.
Ratio.
Not ratio. Before
ratio, there's another one.
There's another one, and then there's the ratio.
Oh, kohada ibege.
Whatever you say, it's
called kohada ibege.
Yeah. And then there's the ratio, and then there's the itara. Yeah. So it's 4 steps. So these are cultural things that we can't run away from, and they're things that as long as you're in African society, and it's an indigenous practice that you have to preserve. Yeah, so that's there. But now these are the misconceptions and trust, because these cultural things you just learn them. It took me. I learned about the steps of marrying a Kikuyu woman when I was 28, 29.
I don't even know.
Yeah. So these are the cultural clashes. They're not as bad as some people put them. Yeah. Not as bad. It's not like you're going to be given human meat to eat or anything. Yeah.
For me personally, it's not about that. It's about those nights that I want to go and listen to my ethnic music. You don't understand Kikuyu. We cannot go to you maybe for ngemi or mugithi. Hatuwezi na wewe occasions kama hizo. So what happens then where I want to go out and have fun with other people, but if I come with you, I'll feel like I'm dragging you to a space where you're not comfortable?
There's a song called, in English it's called Toxic Love, and in Kikuyu it's called Wendoa.
Let me tell you, I know I have it on my phone, but yeah, I know the song.
And then there's a very popular Kikuyu DJ called DJ Bull.
Yeah.
Sometimes the music is played in my car, in my house, and I'm just like, okay, just do you. These are things that you get familiar with. The more you listen to them, the more you get familiar with. Also, my girlfriend went to the Fisherman Experience.
What is Fisherman Experience?
I
have never dated a band from the West. I'm not gonna lie. There's a
popular artist called Costa Juang. So the Fisherman Experience was this concert, and she had so much fun. I didn't go to the event, but she had so much fun. She sang along to Luo songs. There's a song that she loves called Nyaduse. She sang along to the Luo song, and I was like, you people will be talking about cultural clashes when our cultures are merging. And thanks to artistry, thanks to the music, despite having those cultural differences, there's a way music brings us together. And especially the new generation of music. There's someone called Irosh. There's someone called Irosh. That's Irosh. Irosh is a Kikuyu artist. Samido is Kikuyu, of course. Then we come to Luo. We have the Kodong clan disco. You're just dancing to disco, the song.
No, I don't.
You're missing
Disco
out.
Matanga.
No. It's called disco. The song is called
I
disco.
don't know. I'm so like biased when it comes to the kind of songs I listen.
Yeah.
If I don't understand the song, I won't listen to it.
Sometimes just listen to the beats and dance. How do you understand what people say in a piano?
I don't listen to Amapiano.
No, but do we? Do you
You
understand?
do. Like I've said, me, I'm so biased. I cannot listen to a song that I don't know the meaning.
Oh,
If
yeah.
I go somewhere, like
Yeah.
maybe in a recreational setting where I'm dancing,
Yeah.
and a piano song is playing, I'm gonna dance
Yeah,
because
dance.
I know the dance steps that I've seen.
Yeah.
But if it comes to somewhere where I'm seated personally on my phone and I'm listening to a song I don't understand, I'm just gonna. But I'm gonna listen to your name. And disco.
Disco by Kodong clan. Yeah, so you do realize that these cultural clashes, these are very old ideology that we can't bring into the next generation of our next generation. Yeah, so things like Kikuyu women killing men. I mean,
We don't kill.
no, I'm just saying. Yeah, and then things like if you marry in the West, that if your husband passes on, you'll be forced to sleep with the cops. Sometimes I read some of those things and say, wow, or am I living in a...
We were told that, but there I was personally told that hiyo maiti unalalanga, not like in the same bed,
Yeah.
but in the same room.
Same room. I mean,
And sijui when the body is washed, it was so disgusting. I was just
yeah,
like,
yeah. So those are some of the things that we need to deconstruct. There's a lot of misinformation and disinformation. People use the terms interchangeably, but they're actually different. There's one that is intentionally misguiding someone or telling someone something so that
so kama hiyo ya kulala na maiti ni misinformation,
I think just this.
ama it's true.
It's not true.
It's not.
It's not true. Yeah, give that lawyer man a chance.
There's no lawyer man for now.
Yeah, yeah. There are a lot of things that people just need to sit down and comprehend. The same notion you give white people that if you come to Africa, you'll find elephants in the street.
That's a lie.
Yeah, exactly. There's no elephant in the street.
yeah.
Yeah, but you still hear people talking about it. Yeah, so there's a lot of misinformation going around. There's a lot of disinformation. Some people can just come up with a narrative just to misguide people, and some people can just speak out of ignorance. You've not gone past Nakuru, and you want to comment about a Western culture or a culture of Nyanza.
I have been to Kisumu. I don't like your roads. The roads there. They're so bad. Mbona umeniangalia hivyo?
Who even goes to Kisumu via road?
It's not the shida si barabara.
Yeah.
Ni when we were going for a burial. Alikuwa tunaingia ndani.
Ndani, yeah.
Place ndege zezi enda chini kujirenga. And those roads to go to the interior,
Yeah.
they're so bad. Zilifanya ni miss ushago kwetu.
And then let's go back to our politics. And historically, Kisumu has been in the opposition. The Nyanza has been in the opposition. I went to Muranga, and
Mwewe kuna nini? Milima supu.
yeah. And the only time I experienced rough road was about 1 kilometer into the compound I was going to. Yeah, so you also need to look at the politics and how it influences development in certain areas. So don't be surprised that Kisumu is underdeveloped. The roads and infrastructure is underdeveloped and so on and so forth. It's because of many years of being in the opposition. Yeah. And same to Western and other regions. And for Kikuyu, you had a head start. When you came to Kenya, you guys had a head start. The first president was Jomo Kenyatta. So development had to start. And then we have Mwai Kibaki, built Pika Super Highway.
Nyeri pia ni kusopo sana.
Yeah, yeah. And then we had
Uhunye.
Uhunye. Yeah, and then now we have Arutode. Now, it's all about politics. I know people say that politics that don't influence don't influence us. It actually affects almost all aspects of our lives. Yeah, so that one we blame it on politics, underdevelopment, and the poverty, and so on and so forth. The other issues that we might discuss on how politics have affected the area, but yeah, so politics also plays a big part on some of these things. Yeah.
Okay. Abu turudi kuna place ulisema imeanza kuhit kichwa yangu. Someone you've said when you go to Western people ask you kama ushaona Mkikuyu, a old Kikuyu lady there.
Yeah.
Is that what was your answer?
From my observation, there was no old Kikuyu woman.
And why is that? From your opinion, in your personal opinion?
My personal opinion, I think just the culture that the moment you've lived with your wife in Nairobi, once you retire, she might want to stay in Nairobi because that's the life she's used to. So perhaps you want to go back to the village. You just go back to the village yourself. And it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. We in Africa, we are told that after retirement, lazima urudi ushago. Yeah. Si lazima.
But yeah, that's the notion.
Yeah, that's the notion. That's the ninis. Like if you lose your job sahi, the best thing to do is to run back to the village. Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's just a narrative that needs to be deconstructed. Yeah, because of the point is that they don't see these women in the village, but these women live with the men, raise children with the men. It's only that when the men retired, they preferred to remain living in the city, and the men went back to the village. Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have talked spirituality, politics, and all that. So as we wrap up, what is it that you'd like to tell mtu hapo nje mwenye? Let's start with vasectomy. Who is considering a vasectomy? What's your advice, or what would you tell them?
Well, if you're considering vasectomy, just think it through, and if it's something that you want to do, go ahead and do it. Especially if you're a man and you feel like you've had enough children, or you're a man and you feel like you don't want children, just go ahead and do it. Yeah, it will save you a lot of issues. We have the baby mama culture that is.
Or hate.
Yeah, it's something that people don't talk about it so much, and people don't talk about it so much because this is my theory.
It's okay.
This is my theory. Don't take it against me. Yeah, it's my theory. I think the society has raised men to believe that the only way you can be respected and acknowledged is if you have a child.
But if you're a deadbeat, I don't respect you. Personally,
Exactly.
I raise my kid alone. I don't respect that man. I also don't respect any other man there who is a deadbeat.
Yeah. So what happens is that these people have kids just for the sake of getting that social acceptance, and then yeah.
So how do you get social acceptance if you're not actually taking responsibility for the kid?
See, you're given birth. That's what matters.
Si baba uliza. You did one thing. Ulipanda mbegu kaacha.
It takes
How
two
do
to
you
tango.
get? But how do you get respect from that when you didn't even go through the whole process?
I think that's just I just say it's my theory that men fail to take responsibility because the society puts pressure on them to be fathers, even if they don't want to be fathers. But you have to do it because it's what is expected of you,
The society pressures you to be a father.
even if it's not something you want to do.
That's one of those bad pressures that people are given.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you still want to fight child-free people online.
I don't fight child-free people. Like, by there, like I said, I'm getting a triple ligation. I've had one kid and I'm done. Yeah. I don't fight. By there, I do. I love and support child-free people because I think they're one of the most people who are very self-aware about what they want.
Yeah.
And they're very Kwanza people who go online and talk about it, they're very confident about it, despite knowing that the society is going to come for you. People are going to come for you, despite what you do. Like, but you being there and being like, I don't care what you say.
Yeah.
This is my decision, and I really respect those people.
Yeah, and yeah. So if you want to have a vasectomy, go ahead and have it. And don't conform to everything society tells you. Sometimes some people know that they're not good partners. You know,
Society?
don't conform to whatever society tells you. There are people who know they're not good partners. They're not completely, they know that they're self-aware that me, Nae, I'm the good partner.
Like I've said, child people are the most self-aware people that I know because they have evaluated themselves to know. As much as I'm this kind of a person, I would never be this good at this, or I would be good at this, but I don't want to risk it.
Yeah, so there's that. So just decide on what you want, and after you've made that decision, you can go ahead with it. And the same goes to everyone else. We don't only have that single route. Do school, get married, have kids, live happily ever after. There's nothing like happily ever after, unfortunately.
There is. If you get married to someone and you don't have kids, that's your happily ever after.
That's happily ever after. But there's happily, but not ever after. Yeah.
You don't believe in happily ever after?
Yeah, man.
Really?
I'm a realist.
Sometimes it's good to have a little fairy tale to your reality.
Yeah. We say the Lulu is the Solulu.
Yeah, it is. Sometimes, not all the time.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, but that there are realities that you really need to contend with and make terms with them. Yeah, so like if you're seeing yourself not doing well in life, you're struggling even with the most basic things, having a baby won't solve that problem. So just take it to make things to another level. Yeah. So there's that. But yeah, you have free will, man. Yeah, even you can wake up and say, today the studio is not seeing me.
Oh, they do know that. Yeah, I do have that free will.
Yeah,
so watu wakae wakijua wako na hiyo free will.
Yeah, we should sit and understand that they have the free will. And of course, people might argue that the environment might influence you, but it's something that you need to own up to. Yeah, you just need to understand that this is my decision, and I'm content with it. Yeah, so people have free will. The other issue you asked about vasectomy alone. Yeah, I think I've answered it.
So next we have to discuss about the politics and the multicultural. So how do we deal with that as a generation who is trying to be tribeless? We're a millennial, if I'm not wrong. You're a millennial.
Millennial.
I'm a Gen X.
Yeah, I'm your uncle, man.
No, you're 5 years older than me.
I'm your uncle. Yeah. I'm a millennial, and unfortunately, we are the people who were raised at the brink of tribal politics. Yeah, we witnessed 2007 post-election violence, and one thing that we need to try as much as possible is never to go back there. And in as much as we have political differences, we need to try and move from politics of ethnic identity to politics of issues and just objective politics, not politics of personalities. We have people from my area for long oscillated around Baba, and they've always seen him as someone who is absolute. But you do realize that some of the things or some of the ideologies they've been pushing are working to our disadvantage. So what I'd call for at the moment is just civic awareness and people understanding that, okay, there's life beyond elections. Yeah, I don't need to ruin my friendship with you because of my political ideologies. And you don't need to ruin a friendship with me because I hold this and this political ideologies or where I come from or the texture of my hair. Yeah, so we as a country, we started departing from the tribal politics, but I'm seeing it creeping in. When the movement, the Gen Z movement started, we were leaderless, tribal and tribeless. But
they bought off our activists.
Yeah. Yeah, so it also brings me down to another issue that the political class could be intentionally making us poor so that they're able to control us.
Yeah, I do agree with that.
Yeah. So if you're poor and you're told that guy who held it's called what, the space with the president in State House.
Sikumbuki jina yake, but
Yeah,
namjua,
yeah, that guy who held. I think some of these things are just out of poverty. You talk a block, even if it means sinking a whole movement. Yeah, and also I'm in the education space, so I want to talk about the pedagogy.
What?
The pedagogy, the teaching approaches. Our education, those of us who went to school and were keen in learning, our education has been really transformative and empowering, in the sense that, let's take for example, Fasihi, and what happened recently in Nakuru. A play so powerful that it portrays what happens to the country, that it has to be banned.
That was so sad.
Yeah. So our education, I read The River Between. I read so that one, and I'm old.
I don't think we did the same set books.
No, we do.
We nilifanya River in the Source.
Yeah, I read The
Val.
River Between, An Enemy of the People, Kifo Kisimani, and Utengano, and Shreds of Tenderness. Yeah. So when you look at the way those stories are done, they raise awareness on various issues. The River Between gave us a clear picture of the Kikuyu culture. There are two regions that were lying side by side. And then we realized the issue of FGM and these other things. And then that's how people started standing against some things like FGM, like the millennials. They just came out against it. You look at The Enemy of the People, and how it awakened the people's consciousness. And then you look at there was some Swahili short stories, and one of the political advisors has been named after one of the topics, Tumbulislo Shiba.
Yes.
Yeah. So our education has a big role to play in changing our narratives, especially our political narratives, our ethnic narratives, and just creating that civic awareness that these are our oppressors, and so on and so forth. The problem is that as it stands, the best way for them to end this next generation is through affecting the quality of the education.
How do they affect the quality of education if they don't control the education?
They control the education.
So nasema the politicians who are there are the politicians who are going to decide what the next generation is going to be studying in school.
I mean, who decided that now it's time to do CBC?
That's a really sad narrative, because a lot of us are... Me personally, I did not learn about politics until I started doing set books. And me nilifanya tu policy Shiba. And during set books, the teachers, when they start explaining to you about the short stories, that's when you start realizing, oh, so this is a political story. It's not about this and this and that.
Yeah, that's why I was talking about pedagogy. How are you taught that set book? What impact does that set book leave on you after you've read it? You just put it aside, or is that something you're going to pick from it? And the same goes back to our unemployment. Our unemployment. Go back to education reforms. We have the Ominda reform. It's just escaping me. There's a reform that served to mass produce laborers. Yes, it's one of these education commissions. That was the objective. That was the recommendation. It was meant to produce people who are going to be absorbed immediately in the workforce. And then it continues reflecting. You say that, don't go do that course because it doesn't have doesn't have opportunities.
Opportunity is true.
Yeah, it reflects. It's something that the system is built in a way that it controls everything. Yeah, so I think it was a Mendes Commission, or if I'm not wrong, I don't know the year, but I'll look it up. So what it does is it develops students who are workers. It doesn't develop students who are thinkers. Yeah, if you and then you look at
But if it develops people who are workers, how are they supposed to be able to create job opportunities for themselves in future? Because as much as unawaka na altafika utatretire.
that I am. Yeah, so that's why there's so many youths who are unemployed, because they were trained to work, to be workers. They're not trained to be innovators and thinkers. And then you look at the books that were banned, especially in South Africa during the apartheid. There's The Pedagogy of the Oppressed by Paulo Freire, I think. Yeah, it's all about education that awakens the soul and nourishes the brain, so that you're able to think for yourself instead of following what you're told. Yeah, and also just creating it awakens your conscious. Yeah, so I think when it comes to politics, education, and everything, there's a lot to be done. The reason why Gen Zs woke up and were out in the streets without fear is because of the education they're exposed to. They set books they read. You're talking about Timbuli Shiba, Kidaga, yeah, and so on and so forth. So you realize that some of these set books that people read really speaks to them, because you see the madness that is going on and you relate it. Yeah, so that's what actually leads to the awakening that we are seeing people saying we're tribeless, yeah, we're leaderless, and so on and so forth. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Is there anything you feel like we have left out in this long, very interesting conversation?
I'm not seeing anything I've left out, unless there's something, but I'm always open to discuss.
I don't feel like I've left out anything. I feel like I'm actually overexhausted.
Exhausted everything, yeah.
In mind.
Yeah.
It was a very illuminating conversation personally for me, because I always tell myself something. Every time I know I have a shoot with somebody, I always tell myself, Nikienda your podcast, even though I'm shooting for people, I always get out with something and I'm like, that's something like a food of thought for me.
Yeah.
And I'm going to think about it until my next podcast.
Yeah.
So
I think discussion, dialogues, philosophy. We have the Plato's dialogue. If you read the Republic, the importance of dialogue is that sometimes it's eye-opening. Yeah, you discuss with someone and then you realize that it's eye-opening, and even the line of questioning, it's not bad, but it elicits more discussion. Yeah. So you in a podcast situation, podcasts are very popular in the West because those people are always ahead of us from time to time.
True.
Yeah. So there are things that people learn about during podcasts that you can't learn about.
In class or in the society.
Yeah. And then there's also those conversations that are very difficult to have that they're very emotive for some people. Yeah, people throw hands. Like when we were taking breakfast.
We had a scenario and it got to a point where I felt like I'm in the middle of a space I'm not supposed to be in.
Yeah.
But I'm so interested. I want to sit down and listen to where this conversation is going. Because during that breakfast, I realized something. People see things from very different views.
Yeah.
And I can see, I'm very weird. Like, unaweza sema kitu, it will irritate me to a point where I'll just get, every time I see you, I'll just get a nick. That's me. But there's something else you'll say where I'll be like, that's more interesting. I want to explore more on that.
Yeah. Like I was there and I was like, not giving birth, being equated to that other thing. I'm just like,
You've never had anyone tell you that. But then I was like, I wanted to ask about it in the podcast, but then I was like, there are topics that I so much avoid.
Yeah.
Because kuna topic tuongelelea hapa and I'll get a lot of hate and controversy about it.
Yeah, you see like the topics that there's something someone says and you're like, oh, you really need to go back to school
Like that one?
Yeah.
That one I was like, oh my God.
Oh my God.
I really don't know people as good as I thought I did.
Yeah, I just laughed and said, wow.
The fact that you didn't actually go in with them, like have an argument with them, I was just like,
Yeah. No. Sometimes, people are just testing waters.
but you've said nobody has ever told you that. That was a first.
That was a first, and it's very, it just shows how much people are disconnected with the reality, and I don't blame them. Yeah. What I wouldn't want to engage in such a person is a back and forth with them, because already they have a perspective that has been what's the right word?
Has been edged into
yeah.
their conscious.
They're conscious that whatever you say don't mean anything to them. They already have that assumption, and it's an assumption for them. So you just listen to them, and sometimes you just smile and let it go.
That's what actually you did. And I was like, how are you so calm right now?
Yeah. Like, when you don't wrestle a pig.
Okay.
Yeah. To drag you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it's time that people have open discussions about male contraceptive systems. They sit down and talk about what the society has taught us and what open-mindedness has brought us to know and to learn and to believe. Because I think a lot of people are so... I was discussing with a friend... Yesterday, I met up with some of my friends, and we were discussing relationships and men. And I realized a lot of men who are, sorry to say this, above your age or around your age are so misogynist, because they want women who raised them. They want a woman who will cook, clean, do everything their mothers and their grandmothers used to do, without realizing what the woman wants. Like nikisema hivi.
Those are things that I think we became more conscious about them when we were in campus. Yeah, we just heard that people are getting married. We didn't get the nitty gritties. Now we even know the steps.
You do your research before you get there.
Yeah, we even know the steps that if you want to con me, I just know.
Hawezi ni con.
Hawezi ni con, yeah. Yeah, so so it's just representation and awareness creation. People just put out information out there, put out information, and with that, a lot of this madness will go down.
So ni kama ukiwatch movie and then you hear about the Nazis. That's how I felt today.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
I'm so happy because it was like when I called you, I was like, this is like an impromptu thing, but you created time and you're here. So asante sana.
Karibu.
I'm sure I'll have you again, because I've realized we can talk about a lot of things, not just about whatever I wanted to discuss with you today, which was about the vasectomy and the child-free life. Yeah. So thank you so much for coming to our show.
You're welcome.
I'm sure I'll call you again, so don't lose my number.
I'm losing your number. I turned off the disappearing message.
As many tests away because of the questions. Yeah. So thank you so much for coming in today. It was a pleasure having you in our studio. To time yako, coming and spending time with us, and even having breakfast with us. So asante sana. So guys, that's all we have for today. Please subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, and if you have any questions to our child-free uncle, muulize, I'll make sure the questions get to him. And if you want him again in the show, also leave a comment. Tutamrudisha, namlete maswali. Thank you so much, and see you all next time.